Welcome back. Well, finally, folks, it has ended. The Pete Alonso saga has ended just a few short hours ago. So let's get into some reaction because, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, can you say exhausting? You heard Steve Cohen, David Stern, they were exhausted by this whole negotiation. But I gotta say, I felt an exhaustion amongst the fan base. There was a tiresome, there was a bit of angst. And you know what? Finally, Pete Alonso has agreed to come back to the New York Mets at, an extremely low value price. He agrees to come back for 2 years at a total value of $54 million. That first year being he will make $30 million. He will have the opportunity to opt out after being paid $30 million. Very important. If he decides to stay for that second year, he will be paid $24 million. Total value contract, $54 million. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. A lot of thoughts to express to you, so stick around. Let's start this video off right. Like, subscribe. If you love the move, tell me why. If you don't like the move, even if you're not a Pete Alonso, fan, I don't know how you cannot love this move because let's just all come together right now. This is a point to come together. If you are a New York Mets fan, forget about the Pete Alonso nonsense. He is on our squad for 2025. Let's move on. Let's embrace the guy because you know what? We know there wasn't a lot out there. There was not a lot out there. There's so many different ways to look at this, but let's start here. David Stearns, let's clap hands for Mr. David Stearns getting this done for a total cumulative value of $54 million. That coming down from the first offer of almost $160 million. So you doling out over $100 million less than the initial contract. David Stearns stuck to his guns. He really did, folks. Stuck to his guns. And there was one philosophy, folks. He would not, I repeat, would not bid against himself no matter what. No matter what. And that's what Scott Boras usually does. He usually gets every damn team to bid against themselves, to bid against a boogeyman. You don't know if there's really a team out there willing to go to that next level. But you give the Mets front office credit for doing their due diligence. They knew they were literally the only ones that had legitimate interest in Pete. Because you can't tell me the Blue Jays had legitimate interest if they wouldn't exceed this offer. If they could have got Alonso at 2 years, 60 million, 2 years, even 70 million. That would have been a bargain to put together with Santander and Guerrero in that lineup. Clearly, David Stearns did a great job. You have to hail that front office. No risk with this move. Even if Pete Alonso has low production, you're left with Pete Alonso coming back for 2026 at a value contract at $24 million. You were still into the running for mega free agents at first base next year. Guerrero, you're still in the running. Whether Pete decides to opt in, opt out, doesn't matter. $24 million is what you will owe the polar bear. So I foresee good things. You bring back the polar bear, have him break the record. I love to see Pete mash. I would love to see Pete hit 40 plus home runs, 120 plus RBIs, have a career batting average record, and get a 3-4 year contract with this team. Show everybody, prove to the world you are worth the money. Because at the end of the day, the more he produces for the New York Mets, the better for the New York Mets. And look at this lineup, folks. Look at this damn lineup all throughout the infield. Every single infielder, besides maybe second base, has a chance to represent your New York Mets at the All-Star game. That being Mark Vientos. The kid had a breakout year, continues hopefully to grow. Pete Alonso has been a perennial all-star. Francisco Lindor, second place MVP. Francisco Alvarez, I expect him to take a huge leap in that lineup. But Juan Soto in the outfield, you have guys who can be all-stars. Obviously, Juan Soto, Brandon Nimmo. This lineup is starting to look freaking stacked. Stacked. Not to mention the young kids that I expect to show their worth, their value. Ronnie Mauricio, I'm looking at you. Luis Angel Acuna, I'm looking at you. And I'm not even including Jet Williams, Drew Gilbert. The Mets have offensive talent. They re-signed, obviously, Jesse Winker. I mean, if you go look at this offseason as a whole, I mean, you said once they sign Juan Soto, I'm like, okay, they're going to start at a B minus. Right off the bat, you get Juan Soto, you're going to be in the B range. You secure the best player in all of baseball. Now the big question was, there was no protection. No protection. You needed somebody, a legitimate protection. Yes, you had a Mark Vientos on the roster, and that was the Mets' back pocket. Oh, well, we got somebody to protect Juan Soto. We got Mark Vientos. Well, do you want to heap that much pressure on a second-year kid? I mean, he could probably do it. He could probably do it, folks, but, would it be as optimal for a team that wants to commit to being a World Series contender, a legit World Series contender? No, you would want to stack as many certainties in that lineup as possible, and whether you like Pete Alonso, he is a certainty. Now, for all those doubters out there that are saying, "Oh, well, Pete Alonso, he wasn't patient last year. He lost us a lot of games." I gotta say, Pete Alonso was fed a lot of BS, a lot of BS, and the ultimate decision at the end of the day was Pete Alonso's decisions to re-sign with our New York Mets. So that's all I care about right now. I wanted to see the guy bleed orange and blue, and he took $54 million, which is $20 million more than the total value contract of Frankie Montas. Think about that. We got Pete Alonso back for just $20 million more guaranteed than what we gave Frankie Montas. And I hate to even put that out there because I'm not comparing the two players. Don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. All I'm saying is we got Pete Alonso back for just $20 million more than what we paid Frankie Montas. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. All right, folks. I mean, I mean, like looking at this now, let's look at this from the Pete Alonso side. We looked at it from the Stearns Cohen side. Great job, phenomenal job, and this also says, long term, this is how this front office will play you. We have smarts, we have guile, we have a plan, we have a front office that will not fold and to anyone who doesn't matter who you are. If you have mega agent Scott Boras, the guy who has, like I said in the past, always found that dumb owner, has always found that last minute contract, that last minute mega contract. God bless him. He always found a way. The last couple of years has not been getting that same desperation from owners. In fact, you have seen the desperation shift over to the Scott Boras clients. There was always that desperate owner that said, "Here, Scott, $200 million." And you've seen the Pete Alonso last year. Obviously had that $160 million offer. And then I remember, a lot of Mets fans were mad at Pete, like, $160 million? You rejected us? $160 million we offered you to be a lifetime Met. What do you want? Do you want to be paid like Aaron Judge? And the rumors were out there. The guy wants to be paid like Aaron Judge, 8 years, $68 million. That was the highest projected contract offer. 7 years, 210. In the beginning of this contract, you heard it was going to be 6 years, 180. All these ridiculous contracts to secure the polar bear. And at the end of the day, it comes down to 2 years, $54 million. And, in this, honestly, this is how obviously it hit me. Andy Martino, SNY, he was the first to report that. Jeff Pat Hassan, he was the first to report the $30 million in an annual salary in year one. And that was the important thing, folks. I think the important thing to the Alonso Boras side was when they knew that they weren't going to get that long-term contract, to make sure Pete Alonso was going to be paid the highest paid first baseman, and that $30 million figure was extremely important. Vlad Guerrero, he was the second highest paid first baseman. Now, prior to the Alonso re-signing, was the first highest paid at a little over $28 million a year. So the Alonso camp, all right, you know what? Year one, let's be the highest paid first baseman because we lost our length. And then the 3-year contract, everybody thought a couple months ago, well, not a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago, well, the Mets and Pete Alonso agree 3 years is going to be the term. It's going to be 3 years at $93.3 million because that'll make Pete the highest paid first baseman annually for the next 3 years. Well, that would mean if the Mets did that contract, they'd be bidding against themselves because there was nobody else willing to go. As far as we know, and the things will break down over time, the only contracts that I know that were extended were the Mets contract at 7 years, 156 or $158 million. That number has kind of changed from 154 to 156 to 158. But regardless, it was around 7 years, $160 million that the Mets offered him about a year and a half ago. And then you hear the other contract that was legitimately offered was the 3-year, $70 million contract. And at the finality, he had an option still that Pete could have took this 2-year, $54 million or 3 years, $70 million. So he could have had that extra year of certainty, that extra year guarantee. At the end of the day, it would only meant an extra $16 million. I think Pete figured, hey, have a monster year. He'll be able to get that $16 million and some. So that wasn't really a worry to him. And then at the end of the day, Pete Alonso and Boras have confidence in this year's of production. You go out there, you ball, you get a mega contract. And worst case scenario, God forbid you get hurt, and we all hope Pete Alonso doesn't get hurt because that would kill the Mets' chances. He has that $24 million guaranteed in year two. And then after year two, hopefully maybe he can secure like a Christian Walker plus contract and make up some money after year two if God forbid he got hurt in year one. But it's a huge win for David Stern. It's a huge win for Steve Cohen. It's a huge win for our New York Mets because I'm going to say it was painfully obvious at this point in the offseason. Pete Alonso was your best option for 2025, right? I'm not looking at 2026. I'm not looking at 2027. There are going to be different and possibly better options in the next couple of months. But this point in the offseason, early February, this is your best option. Getting Pete Alonso, the homegrown Met, has the most value to the Mets. Obviously Mets fans want to come and they want to see homegrown Mets. I think it was so important to bring the polar bear back, especially at this price. And Will Salmon, he reports that there's actually no deferred money in this contract at all. So, that was probably also a sticking point in the negotiations for the polar bear. Maybe the polar bear obviously wanted a lot more length, wanted a lot more dollar. But, the Mets said, all right, you know what? We're going to give you a couple of things, Pete. We're going to give you that $30 million in year one, and then we're going to give you a contract with no deferred money. So, those were the give-ins. You could see the Mets didn't give in on a lot. They certainly didn't. But there were certain things they gave in. The $30 million in year one, no deferred salary, and of course, the big thing, the opt-out after year one. So those were the three big things, all right? We're going to give you this. We're not going to give you a mega contract. We're not going to give you length. We're not going to give you the money, total value we want. But we will give you year one, $30 million. We will give you no deferred money, and we will give you that all valuable opt-out after year one. So, it's just phenomenal because if you look long-term, or not long-term, but if you look at this 2025 season, I mean, lineup wise, the Mets right now are pretty decent. Pretty decent. And they still put themselves in a position to add possibly another bat. If the Toronto Blue Jays came knocking next month and they said, "Oh, you know what? Now we're willing to trade Guerrero." Does the Alonso contract, now that you sign Alonso, make the Mets not interested in the Guerrero trade? No, no, we're absolutely not. You're only committed to Alonso really for 1 year and an opt out. And I'm going to continue to say this contract is the Stearns special, making them take that 1 year contract with a player option, because it is very important to note that it is a player option. Only Pete Alonso has the option to opt in to second year of that contract. It's not a team option. It's not a mutual option. It is a player option, and it is the Stearns special. Montez got that same deal. Manaya, Severino, everybody. This is the Stearns special, but I would not think that Pete Alonso would be a candidate for the Stern special, but he got the Stern special. And folks, if you are enjoying this content thus far, please show your support for the channel. Like and subscribe. We have some great ideas going forward, especially for our channel members. I just want to have that of note. And Marcus, I heard your ideas. I've been kind of very busy these last couple of days at my full-time job. Fortunately, I apologize, but I'm in the next couple of months, we're going to be doing a lot of things on this channel because we are growing. We may be growing a little slower because obviously I can't be on as much as full-time YouTubers. I hope to eventually get to that point, but as we grow, at our nice pace, at our very relaxed pace, we are going to be doing more things. The idea that I have is, once we get to 4K subscribers, 5K subscribers, I intend to, I want to share, I want to reward our members. Whoever is a member, when we hit those milestones, we will do some nice giveaway items. For example, 4K, I was thinking about giving away a gift card, $50 gift card, but it's only going to be to members, right? So if you want to go check out our members, become a member now. When we do hit those milestones, you will be eligible. And I think that it's good. It's a good thing to do that, is because if you are a member, there's not a lot of members right now. So you stand a very good chance to win these. So I was thinking at 4K, we will do the $50 gift card. At 5K, we will do, the giveaways will be better. It'll probably be like, some type of jersey giveaway, an MLB jersey. Maybe we'll do Soto, maybe we'll do Lindor. Let's see how things get off the ground. But it's going to be fun things like that. And whoever takes the ride, I thank the members right now who are supporting the channel grow. I really appreciate that. But again, continue to subscribe. And if you want to be around or be included for the giveaways, the first couple milestones will be for the members. But again, you have to be a subscriber too to know what the heck's going on and to see where this channel goes in the future. So thank you again for being a part of it. Thank you again for all your support. Again, I can't say thank you enough. All right, so back to the Pete Alonso situation. Where do we go from here? I got to say, folks, this was huge. Huge. I say that all the time, but this was absolutely huge. In the beginning of the offseason, we had so many damn check marks. Get that bat, get a couple starting rotation arms, get Juan Soto, get a bullpen, you better get a bullpen ace, you better get this, you better get that. Right now, we have gotten so many things. And right now, I'm going to say, I think we are at an A-. To get to an A+, we would probably need one more frontline starter, and we are all in. Our total payroll is close to $330 million, which means we are about $25 million, a little more than that, over the Steve Cohen luxury tax, which means this last contract that we gave to Pete Alonso, the salary for 2025 that we're paying Pete is almost going to be a double salary, because anything over $303 million on the payroll is going to be 90% taxed. So if we're paying Pete close to $30 million, that money really that we're paying Pete is close to $60 million. So we have witnessed Steve Cohen and David Stearns going all in. And I think, and I'm pretty sure right now, once the all the ducks settled, I said we're going to see a trade. We're going to see a trade. I said let's see how all the big free agents, which big free agents we can secure. Sean Manaea, AJ Minter, Juan Soto, obviously, Pete Alonso back in tow. Let's see what we can get on the free agent market. Then we'll know what holes we have left, and then we can use our prospects in kind. And I think right now the big glaring need is a frontline starting pitcher. And yes, the Mets could be looking at it from this perspective. They invested a lot of money, right? Pitching is so damn important. But they could be looking that Kodai Senga is that frontline addition. They could be looking that another year of Sean Manaea in the pitching lab is that frontline starter. So those two, they could be looking as frontline additions. They could be looking at David Peterson, another year of progression of him being close to a frontline starter. They could be looking at Clay Holmes, a guy who has been fairly dominant out of the pen, him being a very good, towards the front end starter. But that, in my opinion, is too much pie in the sky thinking. You need much more guaranteed potential out of that front line, frontline starter. And if all that comes to fruition, if Kodai Senga produces like an ace, if Sean Manaea continues to grow, if Clay Holmes is a front echelon type of pitcher, that's all gravy. That's all gravy. But if you're going to compete with the Dodgers, this is a long, grueling season. You are going to need a bona fide ace. And if everything else, like I said, falls into place, then you are just that much more in a better position to contend for a World Series, because it's not going to be easy. Not only are the Dodgers good, folks, the Dodgers are a deep team. They are a deep team. They have about 8 or 9 pitchers on the front, on starters. They have about like 5 or 6 Cy Young Award winning candidates, not to mention having 9 or 10 starters. So they have a very deep rotation. They have a very good lineup, a very good bullpen, a great system. They have great resources. But the question is, when would the Mets pull the trigger for a frontline ace? Like, do they want to go through spring training? And I just want to mention, like, I predicted Pete Alonso would sign before spring training. I said, if this guy going into having a contract with a 1-year opt-out, he's going to want to make sure he's in the beginning. He gets there for the beginning of spring training, pitchers and catchers. He wants to make sure he puts himself in the best position to have a successful 25. Just wanted to put that a note. But, going back to what I was saying, when do you want to strike if you want to strike for a starting pitcher? I mean, you've heard Dylan Cease, you heard Michael King. Those are the names you've heard out there. Luis Castillo, you've heard him from the Seattle Mariners. Although the Luis Castillo thing, he's a 31-year-old guy. In the last couple of years, he's lost a little bit velocity. He has 3 years left on his contract, fair value contract. There is an option for a 4th year, so it could potentially go up to a 4-year contract. I think the Mets are a little hesitant for that situation because of the money, but also mainly because of the asking price. The asking price from Seattle has been through the roof. So in that situation, you have to be a little hands off. We already know David Stearns is not going to overpay. He's a guy, and I like it. The first year and a half, he is a guy that you got to come to him. You got to come. It's his price, his situation. He is controlling everything. I really like that. I really do like that. And he's never going to be desperate. Never going to be desperate. Always going to have a plan. So timing is going to be everything with getting a frontline starter. So Dylan Cease and Michael King. Right now, the Padres are going through some stuff right now. They're trying to cut payroll. They're trying to decide how much, they want to spend for their 2025 roster. And apparently everybody on the team is up for grabs besides Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. Although those guys, I know you want to have some marquee guys to bring the fans out. I think you gotta eventually have a Fernando Tatis Jr. Eventually on the market, because I've looked at that contract. It's heavily backloaded. Heavily backloaded. In like 2 or 3 years, you're never going to be able to move that contract unless he starts producing like one of the top 5 plays in the game. I don't know if he's ever going to have that type of production as he gets older. But bottom line, the Padres are in a desperate situation. Do you want to wait to the trade deadline? Do you want to wait for a couple months to pass? Now, here are the risks. The risks are your competition. Right now, you have the Dodgers, you have the Yankees, you have the Red Sox, you have a bunch of these big market teams already satisfied their frontline positional needs. The Dodgers, the Dodgers went out. Obviously, they got Sasaki. They went out and they got Blake Snell. They got Shohei Ohtani coming back. They have Yamamoto. They signed Tyler Glass now. They have a bunch of frontline starters. They are set for now. Their goal is to win a World Series. God forbid anybody gets injured in April, in May, in June, or 2 pitchers. Dodgers' goal is to win a World Series. They are in it to win it, especially with how much money they have invested. If a team like the Dodgers, who are set right now, aren't looking for pitchers right now, but if you wait and something happens, that team will move heaven and earth to get a frontline starter to make sure their team is still viable, their team is still on top. Another team, Yankees, they are set right now. But if, Max Fried gets injured, Garrett Cole continues to be injured, Carlos Rodon continues to be injured, some of these, pitchers don't pan out, they will be another desperate team. Boston Red Sox, they got Crochet, they got Walker Buehler, their team that is trying to be on the rise, trying to prove to potential free agents, hey, we have a bunch of great young prospects on the rise, and our pitchers, everything is going in the right direction. But all their big market teams are satisfied, and that tells you when teams have positional needs filled, the market is lower. Just, you saw it in the Pete Alonso situation. All those big market teams had their first base situation solved, at least for 2025. So Pete Alonso's market went down. In the Juan Soto situation, all those big market teams needed a guy like Juan Soto. In that situation, the market went up. Right now, I would say all those big market teams have pitchers, so the market is not as high. So if you can make a deal with the Padres now, it would be an optimal. I've heard the things. Oh, let's see what we have. Let's see how good Shohei Ohtani can be. Let's see how good Kodai Senga could be. But like I said, you run the risk of other teams becoming desperate, of other teams that are not even in the mix saying, oh, shoot, we're in the mix for a playoff run. All right, let's go out and get a Dylan Cease. So many more teams can be in the run. Of course, you need 2 to tango. You need the Padres to really come with a realistic offer. But the last thing that I saw was kind of realistic. They were asking for 3 top 25 prospects for Dylan Cease. And they were looking for even less than that for Michael King. That's not out of the realm. Just so you know, for the Padres to acquire Dylan Cease, they gave up 3 top 10 of their prospects. One of those top prospects, Drew Thorpe, being a top 100 prospect. So that was the price they paid a year ago for Dylan Cease. And if they're looking for 3 top 25 prospects from the team that they're making the trade with, that is not that bad. That's not that bad. So I would right now be coming up with all these packages. Hopefully it's a package that makes sense. I'm not willing to trade Jet Williams. I'm not willing to trade Ryan Clifford. I'm not willing to trade Brandon Sprout. It's not like 3 of our top 5 prospects. Maybe it's a top 15 prospect, maybe it's a top 20, maybe it's a top 25. I'm looking at packages like that, like that. It's got to make sense because at the end of the day, it is a rental. And if you're saying, let's wait, let's see, it is always a good option to add more pitching. Take stress off Kodai Senga. Take stress off Sean Manaea. I mean, why wouldn't you want to take stress off of Kodai Senga, a guy who pitched 5 freaking innings last year? I mean, you want to do as much as possible to say, hey, guys, don't worry, we have an ace. Don't worry, we have a 6-man rotation. Don't worry, the stress is not on. And I think, it would be really optimal for the Mets to do something a little creative, even if they went to a 6-man. The Mets have the weapons. This year's starting rotation, despite being minimally different, is going to have a lot higher upside. I mean, at the very least, you have a guy, a Cy Young award-winning candidate. Kodai Senga finished 7th in the Cy Young voting 2 years ago. But, you add that to the rotation, that is automatically a huge bump to last year when you went to April, when it was just Quintana, Severino, Manaea, Adrian Hauser, and Tyler McGill. That was your 5-man rotation just last year in April. Listen to that, folks. Your starting rotation you went in April was Quintana, Severino, Manaea. And this was before Severino and Manaea were looked at as really good. Then you had Adrian Hauser and Tyler McGill. Now at least your starting 5 is a lot more competent. Now you have Kodai Senga. Obviously, Sean Manaea has proven himself to be a frontline starter. David Peterson he wasn't available last time, but David Peterson has showed a lot of progress. Clay Holmes, that is your wild card. That's your wild card. And Frankie Montas, a guy who's routinely given 150 plus inning. That's your 5-man. You still have the likes of Tyler McGill. You still have Blackburn. You still have Griffin Canning. You still have some really decent depth options on this team. And to boot, if you were to get a guy like sorry, lost train of thought. A guy like Michael King or Dylan Cease, that's not bad. I mean, maybe build a package. If this is pie in the sky thinking, but if you could somehow build a package around a Brett Beatty, McGill, and then one other prospect throw in there, I mean, I would do that every day. I do that every day. I know there's some people who, Brett Beatty still has potential, but you got a slew of all these infield prospects, that have potential. Mauricio, Luis Angel Acuna, Jet Williams, Drew Gilbert, that's an outfielder. But there's a whole slew of infield prospects. So you have to start using these chips before they lose value. Brett Beatty is a diminishing chip. If he has any value left, and he might have value left to a team that is looking, for value contracts, the Padres. Brett Beatty, Tyler McGill, and then give him one nice prospect. Not Jet Williams. You're not going to get a top echelon prospect for a rental. You're just not. If you want to get that elsewhere, great, go get it. But I'm pretty sure you would have gotten it if it was available. So that's my deal. You build a package around that type of, package of Brett Beatty, Tyler McGill, and you throw a top, prospect in there, a top 15 prospect. And there's your package. See if that can get you a King. See if that can get you a Dylan Cease. But I would definitely try to get one of those. Definitely try to get one of those now before, desperate teams get involved. All right, folks. So we've gotten to the part of the video where if you didn't get a chance to like or subscribe, you have another opportunity. So I want to, again, reiterate my grade. Right now, the Mets are at an A-, getting those massive bats. Alonso, Soto, upgrading in center field with Siri, getting some decent backup bats. You never know. A guy like Nick Madrigal, who has been a very good contact hitter in his career, I would say lower levels, college, minors. But, if you can unlock something there, he's a nice piece off the bench. And then I like what they did in the bullpen with AJ Minter, Ryan Stanek, bringing those guys back. Ryan Stanek, AJ Minter being brand new. But, I'm liking. And a couple of good rotation options. Montas, Clay Holmes. I really, Sean Manaea bringing him back. I got to say, right now, the Mets are at an A minus. They sure are. And they're putting their money where their mouth is. So the people who are saying small ball, it's just not true. It's not true. If the Mets make one or two more moves, their payroll can be higher than the Dodgers. They could, again, have the highest payroll in all of baseball. So, all the knocks of Stearns have been unwarranted. And, I got to say this right now. I don't want to hear this anymore because you just look ridiculous. Anybody saying fire Stearns, and I heard that for the last month because basically Stearns was negotiating with Pete Alonso, and we can see he did a stellar job. I wonder what those people are saying right now. Should you fire Stearns? So I mean, like, let's be a little more realistic. And here's where we get to some of the house cleaning stuff. I gotta say, I always love the comments, and I know in the last couple of weeks there has been a little frustration with the non-activity. So you've seen it. You've seen it in some of the comments, but some of the comments have been just like super off base, nothing to do with baseball, nothing to do with anything. Just critical of people for just criticizing people for being critical. So we had a couple moderators in the chat. New moderators, so they're learning. So if they do things that are new, it's because they are new. So they're learning how to moderate the chats. But I never really thought I had to have moderators. But in the last couple of weeks, a couple comment sections getting hundreds and hundreds of comments, and then people just bashing each other for no reason. It's not about bashing each other. It's not about proving I know 10 times more about baseball than you do. I mean, this is baseball. This is not rocket science. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has their own perspective, and it's fair. It's fair. And we would like to hear everybody have that perspective. So, please stop bashing people. And if I have to have moderators to moderate the chat, I don't want that. I really don't want that, but I just do not want people disrespecting. Number one thing, be respectful. Treat others how you want people to treat you. You want people to respect your comments. You want people not to moderate what you're saying. Then stop moderating, criticizing what everybody else is saying. So that's where we are right now. Hopefully we get to the point where there's no more moderation. Everybody can just freely talk. But I'm thinking that we're just in that gap of frustration where there was just a bunch of non-moves, non-baseball activity going on. So that's what I attribute it to. We're going to get back to fun, back to the action. And at the end of the day, I'm just saying, just be respectful. Let's have fun. That's what it's all about. All right, folks. Again, I can't say thank you enough. I appreciate it. If you are watching to this point, again, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe. Again, we're going to have those giveaways in the future. Every milestone we hit, 4K, 5K, continue to grow. I want to continue to give back, say thank you. If you are a member, again, you will be eligible for those. And again, once we continue to grow, we will have the stuff that we do will be applicable for a wider base. But initially, I want to reward the people who are literally contributing for this channel to grow. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're all doing a great job. All right, folks. Again, continue to comment. Continue to tell me what you think. Complaints, keep the complaints offline. I have an X account. It's at Dominant Mets. If you want to contact me one-on-one, you can contact me there. Also, I have an email too. You can contact me there as well. But again, let's just try to be as positive as possible. Thank you all. Have a great day. Again, let's be happy. We got Pete Alonso. We have a very great, deep lineup. And, Pete Alonso, I was going to break down Pete Alonso, but next video, I'm going to break down, like, we haven't talked about enough of what Pete Alonso does extremely well. We've been knocking him, but the reason why we've been knocking him, or some people have been knocking him, is because, you're in a battle. You're in a battle. One side wants to get Pete for a low price. One side wants to bring up his value. So, but at the end of the day, we're all Mets fans right now. Pete Alonso is on our side. He's on our team. He provides a lot of value in and outside the clubhouse. And he is a staple to this Mets franchise. He's a cornerstone piece. And I'm so glad that the Mets were able to secure this contract for the next 2 years, 1 year guaranteed. But I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And the Mets have left their options open to potentially go after a Guerrero, to potentially go after a frontline starter. We have no money locked up long term. That is a great thing. So the Mets have been super, super smart, and I expect them to remain super shrewd and super smart. We do not have the Wilpons running this team. We do not have Billy Epler, Sandy Alderson. This is a brand new regime. This is a shrewd regime, and this is, I think we're going to see things done differently. So be a bit patient, because I know a lot of times people are saying, oh, why don't we do things the way we did things in the past? Well, the way we did things in the past, we lost over and over and over. So a lot of times, if you're going to win, you have to do things differently. And if it looks odd, who the hell cares? Because only one team wins the championship. So maybe that is the team that is doing things the most different or the most unique. So give the guy a chance. I would say give Stearns a chance. Give Steve Cohen a chance. He's still a fairly new owner. He's been here. This is going on to his 5th year. He's only had 4 full seasons as an owner. That's not that long in the grand scheme of things. Some of these ownerships have been in play for decades upon decades upon decades. So give the Mets a chance. The Dodgers ownership, I think they bought the team in 2011. So they've been running the organization for over a decade now, going on a decade and a half. And it took them 8 years to win their first championship. And obviously they won their second championship last year. That ownership group, respectfully. So let's go Mets. We're going in a great direction. Again, thank you all. I appreciate all the subscribers. Let's, again, continue to grow. Have a great day, folks.